Hello and welcome to the KT Life podcast, your window to life in the UAE. My name is Anamika Chatterjee and I'm your host. It is the summer's biggest release. And given how Tom Cruise saved Hollywood last year with Top Gun Maverick, he seems poised to do that all over again with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Yes, that's the name of the film, and today's episode of KT Life podcast is dedicated to Mission Impossible. A few weeks ago, the star cast of the film flew down to Abu Dhabi for the grand premiere at Emirates Palace. We meet them at the midfield terminal in Abu Dhabi airport, and we wrap up the episode with Hussein Rizvi, who has actually watched the film and has a special take on it. So keep watching.
This is the KT Live podcast by Khaleej Times.
Welcome to Abu Dhabi, guys.
Great to be here. Thank you. Great to be back.
Yeah, Christopher, first question for you. You released that action sequence a year before. So when you as a director are sitting with your crew to design an edgy action sequence for Ethan Hunt, that is Tom Cruise, what do you keep in mind? Has it become challenging over the years?
No, we have a new motto that's developed out of this movie. That's a terrible idea. When do we start? If it's ill-advised, if it's something you should not be doing, that's when we know we're onto something. And it's all about taking everything we've learned from all the previous movies and applying them to this one. Not just the Mission movies, but also Top Gun Maverick, Edge of Tomorrow. We've been making movies together for 16 years. Simon has been with the franchise for 17 years. So all of that is, and a lot of our team have been there since the beginning. So we just grow a little bit more confident. Some of the ideas that we're doing are things we talked about years ago and weren't quite ready to do them. And we just push ourselves a little farther every time.
How was your experience of shooting in Abu Dhabi?
It's wonderful. This was my second time in Abu Dhabi. It was the third time the franchise has come to the UAE. We love it here. It's a home away from home.
Haley, your character, Grace, it's a very refreshing character in the film. There is enormous strength and yet there is vulnerability. How did you approach Grace as an actress?
Sort of in two ways. There was the outside in and then inside out. So outside was to do with a lot of the physical training and trying lots of different disciplines and skills, where it be sort of mixed martial arts foundational work or drifting or sleight of hand tricks, to get the sort of the physicality of her. And when we got on set, it was really important for McHugh and Tom that the physicality was part of the kind of the dance between Grace and Ethan and how they moved together and how they, even if they didn't know each other or were exasperated by each other's personalities, they were physically already sort of working together behind the wheel of the car. So there was that aspect. And then I think, like you said it so beautifully, the strength and the vulnerability. And I was thinking, if she is someone who is a thief, who is describing herself as strictly single, only works alone, is loyal to no one, and is always trying to avoid situations or people, or definitely avoiding friendships and not really feeling like she can trust anyone, then emotionally, if we are born as human beings wired for connection and attachment and belonging, if she is resisting that, then that must come from some sort of past pain. And so by the time, without giving too much away, she has seemingly offered some genuine sense of friendship from someone. The pain comes from, as a human being, that's all she's ever wanted, but it's the thing that she's also been most fearful of. And therein lies her inner emotional conflict and struggle. So that, for me, was an anchor and a sort of a secret that I held onto, so it didn't always feel like it was a physical surface role.
Even though physically it's quite a grueling task to be a hero in a Mission Impossible movie. The car chase sequence, it's any memories from that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, we trained for 5 months with an incredible stunt team. Wade Eastwood, who heads this main stunt coordinator, had put this very bespoke program together for each of the actors, very much based on the skill set, but also creating a program where we become dynamic and fit enough so that when it came to being on set, we could try different things and there is a lot of kind of space there for potential ad-libbing, creativity, new ideas coming up, if you know, and what the location on that day or the weather that day is determining of what we can do, or even how much time we have. So there is that sort of paradox between meticulously planned out, but then allowing a lot of breathing space for new things to come through. And being in the car with Tom, the car chase sequence is so, as you said, it has this kind of levity and lightness to it. And that comes from being present with him, trusting each other behind the wheel, drifting while being handcuffed, but really with being attentive to what the other person is doing in the scene in any given moment. So the scene can exist within a two-shot. So always kind of engaging and always working together to hopefully land for the audience.
Simon, Benji, in the last 17 years, one also sees how Benji's friendship with Ethan has evolved. Yes, there are some really hilarious moments, but one in the later movies, and especially in this one also sees a more human side of the friendship. How, as an actor, do you understand that evolution of that relationship that they have?
Well, I think for me, I was very lucky because McHugh joined the franchise as I was shooting my second film. In the first film I was in, Benji was very much sort of, he was a lab technician, but he was a kind of a kind of novelty character in a way. He was like the exasperated guy who, I don't know. Anyway, I feel like McHugh's attention to detail in terms of character and his faithfulness to the character's evolution, be it over one film or over a series of films, working with McHugh and Tom to kind of create a character who has grown as a person and as an agent has just been really, really fun. It's a real privilege to be able to come back to a character and play them again and evolve them. And so I feel like in this one, Benji's, he's a more senior member of the team. He's been around a while. His relationship with Ethan is based very much in affection and trust, and I love playing that. I love worrying about Ethan as Benji, It's kind of fun to play that. And also shouting at him is really fun. Benji's the only person that can really yell at Ethan, and Ethan listens.
It's so good.
Tom, your character has very few lines, but it is one of the most formidable female characters in the film when it comes to action. What was it like to do those action sequences with Tom?
Oh, it was amazing. I think we created a character that is kind of like mysterious and, scary and that speaks few words, but when she speaks, you really listen. And there's like an animality to the character too that was really, really fun to explore. And a side that is of her that is a little bit punk and different and lonely and, working on betrayal and, all these feelings that make her very, very human, and you see a different side of her at the end of the movie. For the fight scene, it was really fun to get to work with Tom on the fight. It was very technical, very challenging. But, now my problem is, now that I did a fight scene with Tom, I don't know how I can top that. That's one of my problems. And also directed by McHugh, who's incredible. It was amazing. I got to do some incredible things that usually you do on a green screen or never, in real life. So when I got to run on top of a train and jumping over carriages, we did that like on the moving train, and it was amazing to get to do that, That's Mission Impossible.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, guys. So that was the starcast of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, who were here a few weeks ago for the grand premiere of the film at Emirates Palace. Now, Khaleej Times reporter Hussein Rizvi has seen the film during a special screening, and he's here to talk about what one can expect from the film. Hussein, you have seen the film. So how was it?
Right after watching the film, I felt it was brilliant, because Tom Cruise, again, of course, he's killing it even at his
61.
age. Yeah, even at 61, he's killing it. And the amount of action spectacles throughout the film, again, brilliant. I felt like the entire film was filled with puzzles. And as the film proceeded, you were part of those puzzles. So I would say it was very engaging for the audience. That's what I felt as the audience. And of course, Tom Cruise, again, action, so many action scenes, and he's supported by the other cast members, say Haley Atwell and even Rebecca Ferguson. So it was brilliant. It was brilliantly done, the film.
No, I mean, Rebecca Ferguson is awesome, has been awesome in all the Mission Impossible films. But coming back to Tom Cruise outdoes himself in every film that he does. We had Top Gun Maverick. Steven Spielberg actually said that this is a man who saved Hollywood, right? But has he upped the stakes in terms of action in this particular film?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not every day or every year you'll see someone jumping off the cliff, right? Like off of a bike and just parachuting. So that was crazy. And when I had this conversation with the director, I had read up that they shot this scene before any of the scenes. So he was like, they thought
the cliff scene.
Yeah, the cliff scene. So
Yeah.
Tom Cruise just jumps off the cliff. And so he said the reason they did it was because they thought it'll get easier after that. So, get the tough scenes out of the way first. But what he said was it just didn't, because another scene was equally as tough. I mean, not as thrilling as the jumping of the cliff scene, but yeah, I think Tom Cruise, when he pulls off such stunts every year, I think you just cannot get used to him doing such things. Like every year, if he comes out with another Mission Impossible movie, I'm sure we'll all be blown up with another stunt of his.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense to release those teasers also, because as viewers and as fans, we see that how the actor is really invested in those stunts himself, right?
Yeah.
They released this particular footage, I think, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe even a year ago, I
Yes.
think.
And the thing was that he didn't jump off the cliff only once.
7 times.
Yeah, he did it a lot more than once. So to continue doing that, and it was just brilliant, like I said. And in the film, it looks even better.
And are other cast members able to match up?
I don't think there's any comparison, obviously, but then let's say the newcomer Haley Atwell, in my opinion, she's done a good job. Like, yeah, she's matched the steps with the fighting scenes and all of it throughout the movie. There are different scenes here and there, but another cast member was Rebecca. Obviously, she is such a brilliant, I would say, action star. She is just so good on screen when she's doing action. Oh,
yeah, and she is Mission Impossible veteran.
Exactly, yes.
Haley Atwell has a car chase scene in the film with
and
Tom
that was
Cruise.
also brilliantly executed. And I think she attributes that scene mostly to her chemistry with Tom. She said that they were able to trust each other so much that they were able to pull off that scene so brilliantly. So I think it was really good, and that also kind of speaks about their chemistry with each other, which was also very nice to be able to pull off something like that.
Now, a lot of film critics actually say that people will return to theaters for spectacles, for movies that are spectacles. Does this film qualify as?
Of course. There's a no can never be an answer to this question. I mean, you have to watch Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 on the big screens. It is a grand spectacle, and we promise you that.
Yeah, and the film has, it's the part 1 of a 2-part series, right? Does it end on a cliffhanger?
I mean, there's something coming in the second part, and it's going to be a very exciting thing. So there's lots to look forward to, and that's just next year. So we have to stay tuned and for the next part. So we're all waiting.
So the film is going to be out this week. How many stars have you decided to give it? I know that you are writing the review of the film as well.
Well, I'd give it 4 stars.
Out of 5?
Yes, I'll give it 4 stars. I mean, usually movies make it to like 3.5, but this one, I think it can go up to 4, and I think it's worth all 4 of the stars.
Tom Cruise has outdone himself, so that's the message you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm pretty sure he'll outdo himself again next year.
Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hussein, for joining us. Tom Cruise clearly doesn't believe in slowing down. Instead, he goes from strength to strength. So this was a very special episode on Dead Reckoning Part 1, the 7th film in the Mission Impossible series, which is going to be out this week. Please share your thoughts on this episode. And remember, KT Life Podcast is on Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Apple. Till we meet again, with camera person Shihab and multimedia producer Phil Green, this is Anamika Chatterjee signing off. Thank you.